Emmerson Mnangagwa, who fled Zimbabwe upon being fired from his job as vice president on November 6, made a triumphant return to the country a day after 93-year-old Mugabe resigned. His departure after 37 years in power followed a week of intense pressure from the military that staged a government takeover, from members of parliament who started impeachment proceedings, and from citizens who protested in the streets. While Mnangagwa talked in his speech about democracy and working together, he also recited slogans from the ruling ZANU-PF party such as "Forward with ZANU-PF, Down with Enemies" that are unlikely to attract Zimbabweans in the opposition. He served for decades as Mugabe's enforcer, a role that earned him the nickname Crocodile. Many opposition supporters believe he was instrumental in the army killings of thousands of people when Mugabe moved against a political rival in the 1980s. "Today we are witnessing the beginning of a new, unfolding democracy," said the 75-year-old, who added that he had already received messages of support from other countries. "We need the cooperation of the continent of Africa," he said. "We need the cooperation of our friends outside the continent." After meeting with South African President Jacob Zuma, Mnangagwa flew in a private jet from South Africa to Zimbabwe. He indicated that his inauguration as president will be on Friday. "That is when we finish this job to legally install a new president," he said. Mnangagwa will serve Mugabe's remaining term until elections next year. Opposition lawmakers who have alleged vote rigging in the past say that balloting must be free and fair. The party's Central Committee had voted to remove Mugabe from his party leadership post and replace him with Mnangagwa, a former justice and defense minister with close ties to the military. Mugabe fired his longtime deputy as the former president's wife, Grace Mugabe, positioned herself to replace him and succeed her husband. That led the military to step into the party's factional battle a week ago by sending tanks into the streets and putting the president under house arrest, a move that opened the door for the party and the people to turn against the leader who took power after the end of white minority rule in 1980. One unemployed man who heard that Mnangagwa was arriving at an Air Force base on the outskirts of Harare waited in vain at its entrance in hopes of seeing him. Godwin Mnangagwa said he was very ecstatic about Mugabe's resignation and that "we need change in this country, change in everything after years of economic crisis." But he said Mnangagwa would have to produce results. "We have to try him and see," he said of Mnangagwa. "If he doesn't come up with something, we need to change him as well."